actually see what happens now when they know could possibly. It all depends again on the Senate for a lot of these political pieces here. Like there's a lot we don't know and a lot we can't predict because people may act differently on the Senate. They may not vote for something because they know it'll pass the Senate and very very well could become law. And they don't want that really. They're just doing it to save political face. And it may be people who see it as the complete opposite, like us on the left. So. Yeah, so Higgins kind of responded, to be clear, I'm contesting that there isn't support. I'm contesting that there isn't support or wouldn't be support were the floor vote held, not necessarily endorsing threatening damage control, which would only last for a few minutes, right, to hold the vote. My question is what the political reality is once the legislation is on the floor. If, with a razor-thin margin of Dem no's being greater than our margin, then they should have to go on record against a popular policy. I wonder how many would. And the answer is a lot of them would. A lot of them would. Like, unless they have the real political pressure not to. Like, where's that going to come from? I just think that is so naive. There's going to be enough political pressure now to really push past a lot of the bad and very powerful and very far-reaching media propaganda out there to say that this stuff is going to happen. So let's see if we can get a little bit further in this interview here.
Move the ball forward.
I agree with you on that. The thing I would like to see them do that they don't want to do is have to stand up and vote on Medicare for All in the middle of a deadly pandemic and an economic depression. I want to see that vote. I want to see everybody counted on because that's what the Democrats could use in 2022 to run on because they're going to get wiped out if they don't have something big to run on. We know that. They're going to be completely wiped out. So then it'll be at least 2 more years before we could even talk about Medicare for All again. And so now that's 4 years of an economic depression with people.
But don't you think a floor vote, again, I'm not saying it's not useful. It's a useful organizing tool. But don't you think it's
and
like
Jimmy's being obtuse by not admitting and responding to what he's saying because he can't.
What we already know. I mean, we already know most of those numbers.
I would disagree.
Want an answer to questions that we don't know the answer to, right? Like, where are they on allowing states to do Medicare for All? Where are they on having Joe Biden use the stroke of the pen to expand Medicare? Like, I'm telling you honestly, I don't exactly know where they are. And frankly, on some of those things, maybe more of them are actually in a better position. Maybe some of them are in a worse position. I don't know.
Because it's obscure.
I hear what you're saying. I'd like answers to those two. I want to get the answer. I don't know what their answer is if they're asked to vote in public on Medicare for All in the middle of a deadly pandemic. I don't know. And people who think that they know how that vote will turn out, I think can be proven wrong. I mean, there's no guarantee how this vote's going to go.
So you have I love that. It's like you have all these like nasty things to say about the Democrats. You hate the Democrats more than anybody else, which again is completely right to do. But then you're like, oh, they may vote for Medicare for All just because there's a lot of political pressure. Like, are you aware of who these people respond to? They're not responding to anybody close to the left. If there was a bunch of people from suburbs of Philadelphia and suburbs of Atlanta, like knocking on Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi's door and being like, pass Medicare for All now, they would do it. But they're not going to respond to Jimmy Dore listeners from Burbank, California. They're just not. Like, that is not how it works. You need people to organize for it. You're going to actually, or not, it doesn't have to necessarily be the suburban people. It could be, for example, like union workers of color in the city, like nurse workers striking for Medicare for All, for example. Or that would be really something. That would be really something. Just the thought of like New York City nurse workers threatening to strike if not for passing Medicare for All right now in the middle of the pandemic. Oh, now that would be something. And talk about a bold move. That would really be something. Wow. Just like, that just came to me. And it's always just like 10 times more. And it's just like, what makes you assume the Democrats are going to follow anything that they said before? That makes no sense. And again, this is coming from the guy who's like, oh, the Democrats, they're so great. Like, do you think they could really just trick? I mean, maybe they could. I mean, if there are enough, like, dementia-ridden Democratic lawmakers in there, they could very possibly, probably, maybe just be like, oh, you meant to say yes. We're voting on the defense bill, so say yes, right? You want yes. Yes. And they'll be like, yes, where am I? Wait, what? And then that's how it'll pass. But, Like, honestly, you could do that with probably some of the Democratic caucus, but especially the leadership, to be quite honest with you. But it is still a very unlikely and kind of just like, it just makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. Just going to put that out there. All right, so we are, you know what, let's just do one. Yeah, actually, you know what, I think we're about done for today. We've put in a good show for you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm going to go cancel my subscription to the Jimmy Dore Show now.